It's my face.
Your face? Well, hi, Will.
We're good now, yeah.
Good to go, good to go.
Good to go.
Good morning. I'll tell you, what time is it? We're a little late this morning. We're hustling, getting her done today. We just have a couple things. I wanted to talk about a quick install thing that I think everybody should be doing real quick. And then I'm going to show you the Tundra. It's getting closer to being finished. We've got some, for you folks here that are on our lives and watching us do this stuff, you get a little bit more of the inside scoop. So we'll dive into that in a second. So I want to bring up something that we have seen in a couple of like really high-end installs that I've been able to come across over the last year, the last couple of years. And it's simple, it's really simple, but it's the use of Anderson plugs. And if you don't know what an Anderson plug is, follow me. Actually, I have one right here. Maybe.
Just kidding.
No, I know. Right here.
Nice.
So this one been through the ringer, but actually it's the perfect one to show you since it is broken. This is an Anderson plug. This is a 50 amp Anderson. And Patriot Camper uses it to charge their battery systems on the trailers. And the reason is it comes directly off the primary battery on the tow vehicle, goes and mounts to the back, and I'll show you that, and then this plugs in. The reason for this being so effective is that your 7-pin connector or whatever your typical trailer connector is to a trailer has a very small gauge wire that goes to that connection to charge your auxiliary systems on your trailer. It just won't hold up to what the requirements that we as overlanders are typically putting on our vehicles for lights at night and all that stuff. Now the RV world, they rely a lot on shore power, plugging in at a campground or running off of a generator, which we always try not to do if we can avoid it. So putting in big gauge power systems from the lead truck, lead battery to the rear, allow this to plug in is ideal. So then I went to this little trip called Greenland, and in Greenland I saw some really cool things that they were doing with this on the Arctic trucks, the AT-44s. Arctic trucks wires these into many locations around the vehicle, and then they actually the bigger ones, there's multiple sizes of these, and there's one that's a lot bigger. Warren actually uses them as their quick disconnect kit. So it's more like that size if you want to go on their site and take a look at that. But anyway, it allows a power port to be built, and with strategic places you can build basically extension cords out of these, plug it in, run into something. Like I'm going to use an ARB air compressor that is in a briefcase, one of the briefcase ones. I want to put an Anderson connector on the end of it. And if I have a couple ports, I never have to open the hood. I just plug this in like it's a wall outlet almost on the wall. So plug that in, my air compressor will work. Plug my trailer into it and it charges my trailer. These are just really slick, and they're not expensive. So, you break one like this, it's $4 to replace it. But the functionality is extremely high. So I'll show you where a couple are, at least on this truck. So right here, it's right around the corner here. Sneak the camera around. So yeah, right there.
Oh.
That's where an Anderson connector is. So you hook up your trailer, plug your trailer in here, and it's not charging off your 7-pin anymore. It's charging off your Anderson, and it just powers way better, way much more better. I don't know how to say that.
Way much more better.
Way much more better.
Makes sense.
You can also see that we're doing this on other things too, like building outside ports. So we bring an air chuck to the outside right here. The P-Core has a water chuck on the outside. All these things are things that you actually have to access a lot, but they're now on the outside of the vehicle on a permanent installation. And it just makes being around your vehicle, working off the trail, all that, just that much nicer. So when you're doing your builds, think about how you can run some of these systems to the back and utilize stuff, so you're not having to open things to get to things, to plug in things, to shut things, to get rid of things. You know, anytime you can get that process smoothed out, you're gonna enjoy the journey some more, because over time those things become headaches. So yeah, I mean, if you're doing weekend warrior stuff, this stuff may not seem to matter that much, but once you get into it and you're using it every single day for a long period of time, that's when you really start to notice it. So anyway, there's my quick tip for the day. We are going, let's see, what do I got? We got the Ram, the P-Core, or excuse me, the Page, I can't talk.
What day is it?
What day is it? The Prospector is at Dark Horse Customs right now, getting an Anderson run to the back and a bunch of lighting put in and all that. So that truck's not here. This is the only vehicle that's here right now. The Samson is going into Dark Horse next week as well to get a rear locker put in, the Land Cruiser in the rear. Not a front and rear, just a rear locker for some trips coming up. And then the Tacoma is still at the doctor. It's getting actually a locker fixed on that one at Wrestler. So our trucks are all out. But this one, our Tundra, is finished for the most part. The wrap is complete. I am really excited about it. I think it came out extremely well.
It looks awesome.
We've got a couple cool things happening on the front of the vehicle that we'll show you at Expo West. But we still have a couple things to go. Now, some people were asking us about snorkel.
Da, 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 da.
There's a snorkel right there. And then also, this goes in next Tuesday to Dark Horse Customs as well, and it's getting nitro gear and axle 529 gears, which is really low, but we're running 35s, and it's a heavy truck. So we should really see our mileage come back up and our power come back too, because the gearing is finally at the right ratio for all things considered. Yeah, snorkel will get installed there as well. And dual lockers. So if we're going to go the distance of putting in gears into the truck, you might as well at that time put in your lockers, because you're pulling the diffs out anyway. There is only no better time to put in a locker than at that point. We already have the air compressors installed and everything. So Cruiser Outfitters hooked us up with these bad boys, and Kurt's shop. So that helped us out big time. But yeah, these will go in, and this truck's going to be a monster by really the end of next week. And then after that, it gets put right to work for a Stanley trip that's coming up for Stanley products. So yeah, so beyond that, that's kind of the truck updates. Everything else is still pending. If you guys are tuning in every week, you're probably seeing that things take time. You know, everyone asks, like, go on trips, but to do things at our level and to build trucks, to show you new things, and with all the moving parts, you can tell that things just take time to come to true fruition. We don't want to rush anything. We learned that years ago, that if we're rushing things, we're just running ragged. It's just like anything else in life. You just got to pace it right, do a good job. So that is what we're doing, and we can't wait for an epic summer. So with that, I'll answer some questions.
Where can people see this fine new updated Tundra?
Where can people see the new Tundra? Expo West. I mean, that's the next public place that this truck will be, which is not very far away. I think we leave somewhere around the 15th of May or something like that, which is...
We leave the 14th.
The 14th. That's less than a month away. So we got a lot to do before we go there. So yeah, Expo West. If you're not familiar with Expo West, it's a big overland gathering in Flagstaff, Arizona. This will be our 9th or 10th year at this show. Yeah. And that is like one of my favorite events of the whole year, because we get to meet with so many people, talk to people, see cool ideas. It's really a special time during the year. So that's the next place that you'll be able to see the Tundra is at Expo West.
Nice. Go ahead, Will.
Do you take spare Anderson plugs with you?
Yes, they're so easy to. I think we were looking on Amazon yesterday, and a pack of the cheaper, even Chinese ones, are like 10 of them for $21 or something like that. So, yeah, take a couple of the extra plugs. They require a crimping tool, so have a crimping tool with you to be able to put the insert in that slides into the clip. You might have to rebuild that, so have those with you. But if you order a kit, you'll see what I mean. So having a crimping tool, but yes, we take extra Andersons with us. Just one, maybe two, not a lot. And that's for all the trucks. Like these, that's the only one we've broken in 2 years, year and a half of using them. So, and that happens on trailers a lot because you forget to plug something, or it comes unplugged and then it dangles on the ground and breaks. So, anyway,
Do we know the weight of the Tundra now?
8,000 pounds.
Okay.
It's heavy.
Yeah, she is.
She's a heavy girl. So we got, we lightened some things up. Most importantly, with going from the Stealth to the Dart, we lost 75 pounds off the back. We're gonna probably take the galley out of the Tundra this year, just because of how we're using the truck. We're gonna need this space in here, so that'll reduce some weight, but we'll add weight back into it when we're loading what we're loading. But yeah, and I think the thing to consider all of this, guys, is when you're thinking about the weight of a vehicle, a lot of us, we get excited about building our trucks up and we put everything on it, you know. Scott Brady says, you know, your truck is finally finished when you take the last thing off of it that you don't need. That's totally true. It's totally true. We are in somewhat of a different situation because we do have sponsorships. But honestly, we hold things back pretty good. We don't have much stuff on here that we would say that we don't need. And we're open about it if we say we don't need it. Like the galley right here. This year, probably gonna take the galley out. Because we don't need to be driving around with everything on our trucks all the time. We don't drive around with full water all the time. We manage that weight constantly. So that's just something you guys should be thinking about. If you can save your truck by not having all this stuff on it all the time, especially when you're daily driving it, go the extra mile, take it off, and then when you really need it, put it back on. You'll see your wear and tear on your vehicles come way down. So.
Are we using airbags?
No airbags. Not that they're not a bad idea, though. They might be a really good idea. I've really considered airbags on a Prospector because you can just change the loadouts, the spring rate in the rear with the different weights of loadout. It's pretty handy. It's another system to go wrong, but there's been quite a few concepts out there that have proven that it's good. For example, the Patriot campers, especially the X1 and the new X1H that are coming out, they have airbag systems on it, and they've been flawless. I think I've heard of only one airbag failure in all of the towing that the customers have done. So it's not very common. So I'm with it on the airbags. It's pretty cool. Not yet on this one. I think because this truck is a constant load truck, we pretty much know how it's built, how much it's going to weigh, and how much gear is in it all the time. We can go with the spring rate that just matches that. If it was a daily driver that was fluctuating a lot in weight, then airbags would probably make more sense. And I think there's if I've heard of this right, there is a Dynastar or Daystar cradle that will hold airbags now that will allow an axle to go to full droop and not stretch out an airbag. So if you're thinking about airbags and wanting that full articulation of an axle and droop, check those out. You have to Google it a little bit, but there's something out there that allows that to happen still. So, next question.
Does making overlanding your job ruin the fun a bit?
No.
Ooh,
That's a good question.
that's a really good question.
Does overlanding as a job take the fun out of it? I can't say that it hasn't altered it, but I'm having the time of my life being able to build this stuff and make movies on it. That's what I really wanted to do, is be a storyteller. Overlanding is a way to travel the world like no other. So being able to make movies and Overland is a dream job for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It has changed it some, but it hasn't ruined it for me. No, not at all. If it has ruined it for me, I'd have quit. I'd have gone off and be doing something else by now. So, because life's too short to be doing something you don't want to be doing. So, no.
That's a valid question because Clay and I ask ourselves this question every year.
Every year.
Is this still fun? Is it still working for a family? And do we still want to be doing this?
Yep.
Because if we lose our passion for it, you guys, that'll come through on film.
Yep. No, as soon as we lose a passion for what we're doing here, or our passion changes, we need to change. You know, you got one life to live. You got to keep going down the path of where your passion is, and that could maybe hurt at some point to change gears. But right now, man, we're full on into XO, doing what we love.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. How about question from YouTube? By the way, if my audio is off, it's on the YouTube side, on the upload. We can't figure it out, but we're doing everything right as far as we know on our end. Just FYI.
Are you planning to attend Overland Expo East?
Not this year. Expo East, not this year. Not as a booth. Now, I will personally be there, and Rochelle might personally be there with General Tire. So you could look for us there, but us as a whole team won't be there.
What watch are you wearing?
And this is I get that all the time with the different watches.
I know.
This is the Garmin Phoenix 5. Is it the Phoenix 5 Plus?
Phoenix 5 Plus.
Yeah, Phoenix 5 Plus. So it is a new watch for me. Loving it. It's the titanium one, so it's really light. And well, look at my heart rate. It's 112.
Are you nervous?
I must be nervous or something. So, yeah, Shelly and I have been doing our best to work out and get our lives on track there. So we got this, and we've been loving it. So there's some things to come on that as well. So stay tuned. I'm loving this watch though. It talks to an inReach. It can turn on a Verb camera, and then it also has all the mapping on it, GPS stuff. I use that for search and rescue if it ever comes up. So yeah, I'm loving the watch. Check them out. Phoenix 5 Plus. Next question. Last question.
Let's see. Do you want a business question or a team question?
Team question.
Team question. From Blue Lake Overland. You
Okay.
have an amazing group that you travel with.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with the inevitable personality conflicts and keep the team in high spirits?
Yeah, conflicts. So one of the first things that we address when we talk about conflict is that conflict is normal. People fear conflict a lot, but when you address it as normal and that people are going to disagree and have differing opinions on what we should do or whatnot, that's okay. What matters ultimately in any sort of conflict within team dynamics is that there is respect, high levels of respect for the other person. And if that is there, you will see that your conflict resolution is actually pretty smooth and fluid, and it's not so emotionally taxing. That took years to learn. It takes time to learn that. It takes growing and maturing to be able to say that, and we don't always get it right, but we strive very hard for that sort of conflict resolution. So that's the best way I can say that how we deal with that is high levels of respect for your teammate, because none of those people are there on a whim. They're all qualified people, they're passionate people, and they have good brains. So if they're disagreeing, you need to respect that person and their feelings, and you shouldn't ever have to raise your voice. And if anybody's at fault the most of it, it's me. So I would get to work with some amazing people, so that stretch and push me every single day to be a better leader. Yeah. Yep.
We go through a series of questions that we ask new team members to, like, are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you get stressed? How do you deal with stress?
Yep.
What happens if you get hungry?
Yeah, what happens if you get hungry?
Yeah.
That's a big one. So, find out those details about the people that you're traveling with right off the bat. Just ask these questions, and people like to tell you about themselves typically, and you might have to pry a little bit to get into the nitty gritties. Like, do you become a drama queen when you haven't eaten for a while, like I do, or what? And if you can get that stuff out pretty soon, when people see, I remember the time it was in our very first season. I was getting grumpy. I was starting to, get gruff with people, and all of a sudden I had like 6 candy bars handed to me. And it was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on here. So I need to just take a chill pill for a second, eat something, and then things went by much smoother after that. So that's just people recognizing and understanding how each other work. So,
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's good. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll keep cranking. Next week, we'll be out of town, so I don't know what this will look like. So stay tuned. Either Rochelle will be handling it here, or we'll be handling it where we are. We'll see.
Stay tuned for
We'll just
hints in our newsletter
Yeah.
of what.
Sign
where
up
we're
to our
going.
newsletter if you can. There's a lot more hints there. And I just appreciate you guys tuning in. You guys have a rocking day. The weekend's coming. Get your gear ready and go, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.
Adios.
Ciao.